Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, and we got a great show for you today. We're going to dive into I almost said New Jersey. I can't do it. I don't want to disrespect them. The Brooklyn Nets. Will dive into everything. We'll talk about a little about, how the end of the season. We'll get into their offseason plans, see how the draft went and all that, and what direction should the franchise go with, obviously, KD, Kyrie not there. But I got a great guest with me today. I got my guy Peter from the only Nets fan a Brooklyn Nets podcast. Pete, what's going on, my guy?
Nothing much. Getting ready. Free agency's about to start. A lot of shit going down. It's the Wild Wild West over here, and I'm ready. I'm ready to get this started.
Yes. Like I said, happy to have you on. We're going to talk Brooklyn Nets, get into all that good stuff. But let's get into it. The season, how the season ended. Obviously didn't go the way you expected. And obviously the whole season was kind of just a bunch of craziness. Obviously we saw what happened with, KD and Kyrie, being traded. I'm sure that was a surreal moment, but then, getting Mikal, and Cam Johnson from them. And then obviously, losing to the Philadelphia 76ers. So just give me how you feel and kind of how, Nets Nation felt after the trade finally happened, and then you knew, like, all right, it's over. KD Kyrie era is officially over. Just tell me how you felt about that.
I'm going to even wind it a little bit more back than that. I'm going to take it to just looking at the season as a whole, all the stuff that happened before that, Durant's foot on the line. Then all of a sudden you think it's going to be the year. It's not. This team feels like they're cursed. Then all of a sudden Kyrie, he says, "Oh, this is my city," as that big dunk against the Spurs. And then I think it's like a month later, I'm just looking at my phone and I cannot believe this shit. This guy asked for a trade out of Brooklyn. The guy from New Jersey, the Nets fan. It hurts, man. It hurts. So Kyrie's traded. It's like, whatever. We still got KD. News comes out. The Nets are not going to trade KD. Then randomly, I think maybe 2 or 3 nights later, I'm scrolling. Maybe it's like 2, 3 a.m. And I'm listening to a Net Spaces on Twitter. Everyone's talking, and then all of a sudden, yelling, pandemonium. I'm like, what happened? I hear about the trade. I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep for maybe 2 days after that. And, it feels exactly how you think it might feel. It's heartbreaking. It sucks. And, that's the door getting slammed in your face.
Mm-hmm. Did you, when Kyrie got traded, did you automatically sense that, all right, this is the next domino is KD's gone?
No, I don't think really everyone had that. I'm not sure if everyone had that feeling or not. I know the Nets front office definitely did not. They got Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith to kind of plug into the roster. Okay, we don't got Kyrie no more, but Spencer Dinwiddie is a guy that we know. He could fit in perfectly with this team. Dorian Finney-Smith, perfect guy to put in the corners to hit the three with KD driving. Like, this was, I was excited. I was ready. I'm like, you know what? We still have a chance with this team. And up until then, it felt like there was a very good chance that everything was going to work out. They were, I think, first in three-point shooting, maybe like third in defense. And then everything changes. We get Bridges coming in, Cam Johnson coming in. And it's definitely a different feel for the team. They can't score. Defense is looking very nice. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we go late into games. Spencer Dinwiddie's all of a sudden taking the last shots, and I love Dinwiddie, but it's not. This wasn't the right play.
Yeah, no, and it obviously it was the end of an era.
Definitely.
It didn't obviously lead to a lot of success as far as winning championships and all that. But, and I'm a Knicks fan, just for perspective, I still feel like that was the right move to do. I know hindsight's always 2020, and people are like, "Oh, they made a mistake," and it's like, no, I think a lot of things that we couldn't control that in these last 4 years, the pandemic is obviously being the biggest thing. We couldn't control that. So, I still give them credit for, building the way they did, because you guys were at a point where it looked like, man, I don't know who would want this job. And then, you get D'Angelo Russell, and, it started off, you struggled, and then you pushed your way and you made it to the playoffs, right? I think you played Philly and you even won a game, so and then that led you to be able to get KD and Kyrie. And I think that still was the move. And then maybe going for Harden was a little excessive, maybe a little excessive and all that.
Whoa. You think you really think so? If you have Kyrie Irving, KD on your team, you haven't sniffed a championship since 2002, 2003. You don't say, you know what, this is the last guy. This guy's MVP. He was still having, keep in mind, remember when he joined the team, he was getting the MVP chance.
Oh, no, I know.
He was like, was it like almost 20 and 10 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
If not, something similar to that. I don't know. I still think that was the move also. Was it risky? Absolutely. But you know what? It almost worked.
It almost worked.
That's the key word.
Almost.
Right?
It almost worked. And I'm just on the basis of I don't think you need a big three to win a championship. I felt like if you had Kyrie and KD, you add the right pieces, I think you were a championship team that way. But you're right, because Harden did hold it down before he got hurt. I mean, he was playing like he like Harden plays as usual, but I just felt like you didn't have to go to, but they did it anyway. And his injury, then there's like I said, there was a lot of things that transpired that why the big three didn't work and all that. And like I said, the COVID thing, and we don't have to get into that, but I still think you guys did right with going after KD and Kyrie, but Kyrie gets traded, then it's followed by KD, and now you bring in Mikal. And Mikal, when you get Mikal, we all seen him in with Phoenix, and he was kind of that third option, and all that. And we didn't really see his full bag, right? Average it, and then he was averaging like 17, 18. Prior to the trade and all that. And then he comes to Brooklyn and he becomes a different player. He's averaging 26, 27 points a game, efficient, 48% from the field, 37 from three. And now I'm sure you guys are like, hold up. Yeah, we lost KD, but we might have just gotten a player that had unlocked potential, So what were your thoughts when you got Mikal originally? And then as you saw him play, the rest of the season into the playoffs, what are your thoughts now on him?
Oh man, it's tough. It's you're still kind of in shock because you never really expect to get a Hall of Fame player or two or three and then lose all of them within 2 years. So anyone you get back, you're kind of looking at them like, damn man, this is it. This is how we're going down. Mm-hmm. And Bridges played very well. Sometimes you look at it, and I was looking at it and like, is this guy just putting up more points because he's getting more shots?
Yeah.
Because he's the number one option now? Like, let's face it, Booker was getting those shots in Phoenix. He wasn't going to get those shots. But I think Net fans are pretty happy with Bridges. It's kind of like a little bit of a bromance and love affair right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely going to be the guy moving forward. I feel confident in him. I think Net fans feel very confident in him. But I feel like he's sort of a 1B. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
No, I'm with you. I feel like he could be, if he's your second best player on a team, I feel really good. I think I feel really good. Now, the question is do you go after that number one guy, after just going through what just happened with you guys. You had 3 number 1 guys, and now, like you said, in a matter of 2 years, they're no longer with the team. So do you go that route again and pair Bridges up with another guy, and form your next, Batman and Robin, or do you say, hey, let's rock with Mikal Bridges and just build a really good team, because that's another route you can go. So there's options and all that, so and like what you brought up with Mikal, like I think there definitely could be some skepticism with him as far as, is he as good as the numbers say? Because if I put you on any and for instance, like we have Julius Randle around the Knicks, kind of a similar, is he truly a number 1? No, but when he got on the court, he put up some really good numbers and all that. So it's up to you, and it's up to the organization to feel, okay, is he a number 1 guy that we could build a team around, or do we need to go find that next guy? But also, you guys are in a unique position because you just went through. I think you guys went through a tough. Like I said, just had 3 number 1s, and they're not even on the team anymore. So do we go? Do we run it? Do we try that again, or do we try to build? That's going to be a big thing for the Brooklyn Nets this offseason to try to figure out.
Yeah, Sean Marks has this saying, or like this word he likes to use, that the Nets are very fluid, right? Mm-hmm. They kind of scan, like he doesn't mind waiting. He doesn't mind waiting and figuring out if there's going to be someone coming around. And let's face it, every year there is someone that we thought was not going to be on the market who just randomly joins the market, and maybe that's the guy, right? Yeah. I don't know what he's going to do next. I'm not sure where the team is going. I thought for sure with these draft picks that they were going to trade them, maybe move up or something, and then they take 2 18-year-olds and a senior, which is, definitely wasn't part of the game plan, at least, what I thought going into the day. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting situation with this team. You have Cam Johnson, who is he going to be, like a 1B also? There's a lot. They're in the middle, right? They're like 27, 28. So it's like the window is starting like to open up if they're going to win with these guys. But how far can it actually open if you don't add someone else?
Yeah. And before we get into some of those names and all that, let's go through the first part of this offseason, and it's the draft. The draft just passed and all that, and you guys had back-to-back first-round picks and a second-round pick. So you wound up taking Dariq Whitehead, who from Duke. I'm a Duke fan. I love this game and all that. Didn't feel like we got to see his whole game because he was dealing with injuries, and then didn't even get to work out this offseason because of that second foot surgery. Noah Clowney, the big man from Alabama, a lot of upside. I know the shooting numbers can probably, scare some people, but I feel like there's a lot of shooting upside with him and some defensive versatility. So, taking an upside pick, and then taking Jalen Wilson out of Kansas. He's a bucket. He's just a straight, I'm just going to score. He can score at all 3 levels and all that. So how did you feel about the picks? Like you said before, like maybe there was some rumors, maybe they trade up, maybe they trade those picks to get someone, maybe a vet to bring in and all that. So how did you feel about the Nets picks after this draft?
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not the biggest college basketball fan. My old school, I went to St. Francis College. The Division I program just recently closed down. So I'm not the biggest. Sad. Yeah, man. I'm not the biggest, college basketball fan, but I did do my homework on these guys after the draft. Clowney is very interesting to me. I think he's 18 years old. I think he is the youngest net ever drafted. So that's something to really keep in mind. He was SEC all-freshman, and he was 4th in rebounding in the SEC as an 18-year-old. I thought that was pretty impressive. 4th in defensive rating. But this guy's a project, right?
Yeah.
This guy's a project. So I don't know if it takes 3 years to grow in. It took Clax 3 years to start getting his footing correct. So, that's it on no Clowney. I think Net fans love Whitehead. I think, they fell in love with the potential. And really, how could you not? Yeah. The guy was a top 5 pick going into the year before all that.
I had people, a lot of draft people that I respect, had them as behind Scoot and Wemby, that Whitehead was the 3rd guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Really. So obviously he was recovering this year, didn't get his best ball at Duke, but I think it's worth the flyer. I definitely think it's worth the flyer. Everyone thinks that the Nets have picks, but really, if you actually check it out, Nets only have 3 picks in the next 3 years, 2 first rounders and 1 second. So the strategy of maybe getting these guys because they're not going to be able to pick them later, and especially if you're going to have to trade your picks. So I thought very interesting picks with the first 2 guys that they could grow with. And Jalen Wilson, guy's a winner. He won last year. He won the tournament last year. Big was it Big Ten? Big Ten. They used to be Big 10. Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yep.
Put up I thought very impressive. 20 points and 7 rebounds. He's 6'5". I like that. I kind of like that. He has that dog in him. I think. I think he's gonna get minutes. I really do. Like 10 to 15 minutes, not starter minutes. I got to be clear.
Yeah. No. I like what the Nets did this draft. I definitely think they got, they took a guy with upside that could really pan out and could potentially be something really special down the line. He took someone in Derek. Yeah, he might not play right away, but even if he does play, maybe let's say around an All-Star break or something like that, if to ease him in, he's a knockdown shooter. And if everything else can come along, you might get yourself an All-Star player in the 20s. Like I think their talent is there, but automatically you're going to get the shooting. And Jalen Wilson is someone that can be a nice piece off the bench, nice scoring piece off the bench. So I think the Nets did solid with this draft and really hit on some guys with some upside and, potentially, to help them out this year on the big team. So, I think they really did well. And I think that helps their future. Like I said, I think I have a lot of picks that are tied to like the Rockets and all that, especially with the James Harden stuff. So, to be able to maximize your picks this year and get good quality players, I think the Nets did really well this year with, who they selected. I gave them, I think, a solid B for sure, B plus around that. I think they did really well. I think most people that I've talked to, most draft, sites and all that have given them around a B plus. And I think they were solid. They picked solid players that are going to help them out. And, so I really like what they did in the draft. So I think
I gotta ask you, did you like Clowney?
Clowney, yeah, I think I had him in the I think he was in my 25 to 30 range and all that. Like I said, he is raw and all that, but I do think and everything's always predicated on where they go. Maybe if he had gone to the Rockets or Detroit and a team that's has a bunch of young guys, maybe he gets lost in the shuffle. But going to Brooklyn, where you guys have shown to develop guys in the past and all that, and he's going to be around a good set of guys that are going to help him learn and all that, and there's no rush for him to play right away. I think Clowney is going to be good. And I had Whitehead top 15, 17, on my board. So to get him there, even Jalen Wilson I had higher. Then he went 50, 51. I had him top 40, 45, I think. So to get players higher than expected to me, I think the Nets did really well and all that, and could get 3 players. It's hard to get 3 players that could potentially contribute and all that. And I think you guys might have got that. So I think very, very good draft. Very good draft, I think, from Brooklyn and all that. And that's the first phase of the offseason. And now, like where we're at now, we're a few days away, Pete. We're 4 days away, right? We're talking on a Tuesday. This is going to drop on a Wednesday. So a couple days away from free agency starting on Friday afternoon, 6 o'clock. What's the state? What's the state of Brooklyn? What direction do you want the team to go? Let's do this. What direction do you want to see the team going? What direction are you getting? You're getting feelers about what Nets Nation, where they want this team to go, and so just give me what's the feel and all that, and should they go the star route? Should they continue to build with this team? Talk to me, bro.
Man, this guy. A lot of people are going to be very mad at me when I say this right now. There's pure panic right now, I'd say, in Nets Twitter. A lot of, I don't want to say not like low IQ type trades, but like everyone's panicking. We have to, we just had KD on the team and all the stars, like Blake Griffin, he joined us mid-season, and now we could still do that. We could still get a guy, who deserves more money, but he'll take the, like the vets minimum to come with us. It's like, no, bro, it's not like that anymore. So this is a different team.
Mm-hmm.
People are going after different people. They're checking out Atlanta, checking out Murray. Obviously, all the Dame talk that I'm tired of hearing about Dame Lillard. I'm tired of it.
I think we all are, bro. We think we're sick of it.
I'm tired. I think he's going to be on a new team by the weekend, but that's another story. It's just a lot of chaos and a lot of different ideas, which I can't shit on. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to speak their truth, speak what they feel is best, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it doesn't work.
I'm a Knicks fan, bro. I'm seeing a whole bunch of trades and I'm like, that don't make any sense and all that. But you like you said, you respect it, and you just you could laugh at it, or you just be like, oh, maybe they're onto something.
About a week ago, I said that this week was going to be the Wild Wild West. All of a sudden, Chris Paul trade happens, Beal trade happens. Mm-hmm. The new CBA is going to completely change the landscape, I think. I really, really do. I really, really do. And after we see the dust kind of settle, I think we'll have an idea of where our teams are going to be going. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, especially for like the Knicks, they've kind of stayed, you haven't heard anything from the Knicks and all that, as far as what they want to do and all that. And I think for the same for you guys, you haven't really heard direction like from Brooklyn and all that. And I think that could, for some fans, that's a good thing. For some fans, that's a bad thing. That can incite panic because like you guys are, people seeing that you're not doing anything and all that. But I think we've seen in your cases with your team, you guys have made a lot of moves, in the last few years. So like, we can't just rush to make a move just to make a move. We got to be patient. You guys just lost your, Kevin Durant, KD, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and Harden. We gotta be patient and all that. And as far as with my Knicks, a lot of people like, what's going on? We didn't have a draft pick, that. Well, are we gonna do anything? Are we traded for Paul George? Are we traded for this? I also look with, and to go back, because this is about Brooklyn. I'll give you my thoughts on what I would do. I would try to stay the course. I know the thing is to maybe, I know some people like we talked before, may not feel like Mikal is that guy. But in my opinion, I don't think the guy to kind of be, to take the reins from him is available. So why force something, right? Why not let him? Let's see how he does with a full season. You re-sign, and we'll talk about some free agents, but like, you re-sign Cam Johnson, you bring him back, you add some more pieces. Like you said, you got some nice rookies. Let's see it, and maybe we make a move in mid-season. If we're playing good ball, maybe we make a move to do that. I feel like you stay the course. Don't do nothing crazy, drastic, and then do it that way. That's just what I would do. To see what Mikal could do. Because listen, you may not think Mikal is the guy. Maybe you think you could get 5 first round. He may. I don't even think it's a guarantee he's gonna be here long term. They may think that he's worth. We can get if he's 27 points a game again, Pete. They might. And let's say you guys are not a good team. Let's say you guys are trash and you're gonna be in the lottery. Or I don't know if you have your pick next year, so it might not even matter. You might have to play good. You might have to be a playoff team. But
that's the idea. Mm-hmm.
So like, what if you guys aren't good? And maybe what if a team's like, yo, we want Mikal, we'll offer you the house. Let's say it's Rudy Gobert. So that's something you gotta have to look at, because you did lose a lot of picks. So, I would stay the course. I would stay re-sign Cam Johnson because he's still, he's another player that can. I think he can get to that 20 point per game level and all that, and that could be another piece too. Like you guys got a bunch of assets potentially, and flip this quick. Yeah. But so
I gotta talk about something that I think a lot of people are kind of looking over. Mm-hmm. I think you got to think about this. What if I told you I could add all NBA defense, maybe like second or third team guy in there, someone that could defend. I don't know, like the Giannis's. This guy could maybe put up like, I don't know, like 8 assists a game, maybe like 10, 15 points, maybe like an all-star. Would that sound good to you on that team? Because
Sounds
that could
pretty
be
good.
Ben Simmons.
You know, it's crazy. That was going to be my next thing. Is talking about Mr. Simmons, and since let's bring him up because he's kind of the massive X factor because we haven't seen him really play a lot of ball.
No.
So if you know, and so what is it? What is it with him? Do you have faith that you can see any resemblance of an all-star level player like we did in Philly? Or are you on the side that it's like, hey man, whatever happened in that Atlanta series when he was with Philly, that has just messed him up for the rest of his basketball career, and we're just gonna get a shell of the Ben Simmons we've once seen that, well, like you said, wasn't to me should have won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years back. A All NBA type of player, you know, we know what he could do with the ball in his hand and all that, as far as passing and all that. You know, so what's your, you know, let's get right into it to Mr. Simmons. Like, what's your thoughts on Ben Simmons, you know, going into next season? Is he going to be a contributor? Is he a starter? Is he going to be an all-star? Or are we going to talk about him, you know, being on the bench for the whole season?
It's very interesting. The type of surgery that he got, it takes 2 years to recover. I read medical journals. I've covered it on my podcast. It takes 2 years to fully recover from this type of surgery. This guy was in pain playing last season. And I get it. They rushed, like, let's be honest, right? They rushed him back. The Nets rushed him back because they had KD and Kyrie. KD was trying to get out. And he's like, you know what? Ben is here. Kyrie's here. I'm gonna stick it out for maybe half a season, maybe the rest of the year, and we'll see what happens. And if it's not good, then they could send me out. And he got rushed back. You saw the flashes of light. I think it was right before. I forgot. I think it was like the first West Coast trip for the Nets. He put up like a 15-8 game or 15-10 game. You saw the speed. And it's like, wow, this guy's getting it back together. Like he was 5-5, then it was like 8-8, and then you saw something there. We don't need him to take those shots. KD's gonna take those shots. Kyrie's gonna take those shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was something there, but then I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was his back. I don't know if it was mental. Overall, you have to give this guy one more chance because. How would it look if the Nets wind up paying to get rid of this guy? What's his value now? I say I'm going to send him to the Knicks. I'll have to give you 2 first-rounders at least to cover that max contract, right?
100%.
So his value is what? -2 first-rounders. I'm not going to pay that. I'm not paying that. I'm sorry.
You're right. I wouldn't.
So think about this. He plays next year. Let's say he's shit. He sucks. Next year, he's making $40 million. Tough pill to swallow. But it is an expiring contract, and there is very good value in that.
Oh yeah, a lot of value on that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of value in expiring. Yeah.
So I think that's the play. That's the play. You got to.
Yeah. I'm glad you hit on the back issue because obviously he took a lot of flack, right? To say the least, right?
Oh, no. He got killed. He got murdered, right? By everybody in the mom. And then we saw him get the back surgery and all that, and then. If you go into detail, like you said, the back, he had that was a pretty severe back, you know, surgery he had. Like you said. Oh man, I'm sorry to cut you off. Can I get one more stat in here?
Go.
The medical journal I looked at, I think it was what was it? 60% of the guys, or was it like 80% of the guys got back to their numbers pre-surgery after 2 years. The first year after the surgery, they saw their numbers cut down by I think like 40%. It's pretty dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's definitely good points. And I think, you know, it's hard for people to like factor that in because all we remember is him not making the layup against Atlanta and all that. And that's kind of the last visual we have of Ben Simmons or him on the bench, you know, in street clothes. You know, either those are the last 2 images we see with Ben Simmons. But I you know, if he's healthy. And that's a big thing. We have to see if he's healthy. I think he could contribute. I think I don't know if he's going to be all NBA Ben Simmons,
I don't think
but
so.
he's obviously was lingered by that back injury. That definitely took a lot out of him. And we can make fun of him and all that, but that's a real thing and all that. If he comes back and is anything close to that, I mean, defensively, you guys might be really, really, really good, really solid on the defensive end. Offense, we'll see, but that's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ben, because if you get anything from him, that's a plus, and especially if you saw, like you said, we saw some moments last year. We were like, oh, is he back? And then he'll miss 5 games or he'll miss 10 games, and it's like, just when we got that little tease of Ben Simmons back, he's out for a stretch of period of time, and then maybe he plays in the playoffs and then he doesn't play, and it's just like, when are we gonna see? Because I'm on the. I hate seeing guys hurt. I don't root, even if I don't care if they play for the Nets. I don't care if they play for the Celtics. Don't like guys seeing. I like, especially all-star caliber players, because we've seen way too many great players get hurt. I want to see everyone play at their best ability and all that. And I root for him because I know he is a special talent. He really is. So I hope he gets well. I hope he can contribute to any level. And then, because I know he's taken a beating especially in the press the last 3 years since the Atlanta series. He's taken a beating and all that. So I hope we can get any resemblance of Ben Simmons back, because it's just good for basketball just to see him back and all that. But we'll see what happens. That's going to be the most interesting thing, because if you get him and he's playing, at a nice level, like I said, that there can be room for you guys to do some stuff next year that maybe people aren't expecting. So Ben Simmons definitely going to be a massive X factor this season. So
I agree.
Yeah. Like I said, hope he gets well and all that. But are there any moves that you want to see this team make, whether it's a small moves, whether it's a big time move? Give me some free agent targets you got that you like, that you feel like can help this Nets team this season.
Man, as far as moves, as someone that's doing a Nets podcast, you always got to play around with stuff, see how the new CBA is going to work. Is this guy available? Which team drafted this guy? So now this guy's available. But I got a couple names. I think the Nets need another point guard. I have a personal story that my family met Spencer Dinwiddie. So I'm a huge Spencer Dinwiddie guy. But the Nets might need another point guard for at least this roster at this time. I'd love to see if a healthy Colin Sexton. I'd love to see him on this team. I wonder how that would look.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see the Nets get rid of Joe Harris's contract. He's making $19 million. It's a lot, but he could still hit the three. So I don't know if that helps him, get off. Do I have to give a draft pick? I really don't want to give a draft pick to get rid of him. If they stretch him, I think it's only $6 million in the dead cap. So you're saving $13 million. They have to re-sign CJ, Cam Johnson. I think you'll find this interesting. There's a lot of people in Nets Twitter that don't want to re-sign Cam Johnson, which is wild to me. I don't understand. You just traded the guy who's the second best player in the KD deal, and then you're going to let him walk for nothing?
Yeah, that's silly.
That's wild. Cole Anthony might be another guy. I'm trying.
One of the Orlando, Cole Anthony or Suggs could definitely be, because they just drafted Anthony Black. So I definitely feel like Orlando is definitely going to try to sell one of those. Cole Anthony, New York, dad played in New York, so it kind of, that would actually be a nice fit. Score. He's a, I think he finished somewhere in the top 5 in the 6th man of the year. So like, that's a guy who can come off the bench and be a microwave, because it seems like Patty Mills going to get a little long in the tooth and all that. So I think that could be a good fit.
Sorry about that. My phone's going off crazy. Can't stop. Let me get this in airplane mode. Yep. So yeah, it's very interesting how this team could go forward. I think they need a scorer. I think it would make the most sense. That's why the Dame picture seems to be the best option, because it is someone who can handle the ball. The Nets struggled if they didn't have Dinwiddie in the game. They didn't have another ball handler. Nets need another ball handler. So getting, like I said, a Colin Sexton that could score and have a ball handle, maybe put Dinwiddie on the bench. I think his best role is at 6-man because he cannot play off the ball at all. He needs the ball in his hand. He could drive and kick, and he could hit the three, and he's clutch. But he's not meant for this starting lineup. That starting lineup was meant of Dinwiddie, Clax, and Dorian Finney-Smith. That was made for KD. These players that work well with KD. And it showed last year, right? So now Trailmarks has to retool and kind of see like what's going to go here, what's going to go there. They trade they trade KD. We get the draft picks this year, 2 18-year-olds. They don't have another first rounder till 2 years from now. Are you going to use one of those picks? Or are you going to use one of the Phoenix picks? Like, I don't know. The Nets could go a lot of different ways. But overall, I think if I have to make a deal, it's going to be for a point guard that could score. And I know that kind of sounds very general, and I'm not giving a lot. But it's truly what this team needs. It really is.
Yeah, and you guys have I think you have your mid-level, your biannual, all that stuff. So you guys can get some pieces that can help this team and all that. The Joe Harris contract is, I don't know how do you know how many more years he has left? Is one more year after this, or this is it?
It's funny you say that, right? It's over after this. The Nets have $66 million coming off their books after next year, and then after that, you have Ben Simmons $40 million coming off. So in 2 years, you're knocking off possibly $100 million off the roster. There's lots of options, going on with this team. So you could see a totally new team besides Bridges, Cam Johnson, in the next 2-3 years. It's crazy. I'm not sure what Joe Marks is going to do. He's a wait and see guy, so we're probably gonna have to wait and see.
No, yeah, there's a lot. Let me ask you about one young guy that I like, and show some flashes this season, and maybe he could be that guy, and whether they trust him, and that's it's Cam Thomas.
I knew you were gonna say that.
We saw flashes of it, and even I had to put the TV on when I saw him play because he had some monster games and all that. But then, and yes, I know his inefficiencies and all that, but the guy is a bucket getter. And then we saw, where he wasn't playing a lot. So what's your view on Cam Thomas and what you want to see how the Nets use him going forward? And do you even think this is someone, that he's going to even be on this team going forward? Because it seems like they don't, he's one of those players that, and we see this a lot in the league where we see players like they have their moments and they're just pure bucket getters and they're not really good at a lot of other things, or they're inefficient scorers, but they could put the ball in the bucket. And they go through these ups and downs in their careers, and it looks like Cam could go through that. So give me your thoughts on Cam Thomas and his potential future in Brooklyn.
A Nets beat writer said this quote. I'm going to paraphrase it. He shoots the same way, whether he's 19 out of 20 or I'm trying to think, or was it like a 1 of 20 or something like that? Well, like it's ridiculous. It's sad because he does have a lot of talent, but he has to kind of focus on basketball IQ. He gets offended if you say that because he kind of, I don't know. I hate to say guys having a bad attitude, but you could see sometimes that he's not happy. They had that joke that he was always miserable on the sidelines and whatnot. It's sad because he does have a lot of talent. I think he could do very well. Below average defense, below average, providing the ball around. He could put up 40 points any night, that's for sure. I think his role would be scoring major points on a bad team. The games that he did put up those points, right? Those 40 points, they lost. I think they lost them all. Yeah. But I do have an interesting stat for you when it comes to Cam Thomas.
Shoot.
He goes, what was it? In the games that he had 19 minutes or less, I think he shot 17. He shot 17% from three, 19 minutes or less. From 20 minutes and up, I think he shot 40-something%. It was 47 or 48%. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, so we know that he needs the minutes to get into the game. He needs to get the feel of the game. So he kind of like, I don't know. I guess his role would be like a microwave guy, except that you can't just plug him in. He kind of needs a little more time. He definitely has potential. I think he could kill it on Detroit. Imagine him on Detroit just putting up 40 shots a night.
Mm-hmm.
He would light it up.
Yep.
But I hate to say, like, is he a winning player? I hate saying that. But he has to improve his defense. He has to improve his providing, or whatever you want to go, ball handling.
Yeah, playmaking is definitely something he needs to work on. Yeah, there's still a lot in his game he needs to work on and all that, but he definitely can score. And it was fun watching him in those, on that little stretch he had last year, just absolutely killing it and all that. But before we go, give me a off-season move that you feel like the Nets are going to make. Or give me a bold prediction. You know what? Scratch that. Give me a bold prediction about the Nets this offseason.
Bold prediction, man. Oh, my God. I'm going to say, if I had to guess how I'm feeling right now, I would say that Damian Lillard might be a Brooklyn Net by the end of the weekend. I'd say he might be a Net by the end of the weekend. If it's going to get done, and I think it is, as far as he's going to be out of Portland within 36 hours. I hit you up. I told you that. The people I'm close with, I said that. Before the new CBA gets kicked in, he will be traded. That helps everybody around. That's why the Beal trade happened this week.
Okay, so you're saying that Dame Lillard is coming to Brooklyn.
He might be. I think there's a good chance of it.
Okay. All right. There's definitely been rumors that Dame is going to be on the move in the next, like you said, 36 hours, maybe less than that, because that was a while ago. That was late. I think they said that yesterday. So it could be less, and that could happen. I feel like the teams interested would probably be Brooklyn, Philly, Miami. So, and, depending on how Brooklyn wants to do, they do have the asset, the players that probably Portland would probably prefer. So we'll see what happens. I like that. I like that prediction and all that. We could see. Is Dame Lillard going to be a Brooklyn Net? Definitely could happen and all that. But a lot of things happening in Brooklyn right now. New York is buzzing, and with both teams, kind of figuring out what they want to do. But that's going to cap it off for another episode of the Off the Ball podcast. Pete, my guy, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thank you. You guys can check me out. I run the Only Net Fans I'm part of Off the Ball Network, the home team, of course.
Of course.
I do a Monday show with my guy Spence. It's called Fireside Nets every Monday at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me at NetFans on Twitter. I do like live game tweeting, a lot of talk, and that's it, all that good stuff.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll make sure to put all that in the description, for the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, but you can follow me. The links are below. Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, Instagram. Follow us on Off the Ball Network on YouTube, where I think we're like 18 away from 400. Help us get there by subscribing, commenting, liking, all that good stuff. You know how that YouTube algorithm works. So hit the like button and all that. And we'll see what happens with the Nets and all that. So like I said, Chris LeBron, like I said, follow me below. You see all the ats and all that. That's Pete. Like I said, we're going to do a lot more collaborations as the off season goes around, and we figure out if Dame does go to the Brooklyn, we're going to go live right away. We're going to talk about Dame being a member of the Brooklyn Nets if that happens. Pete says that's his bold prediction. We'll see what happens and all that. But on that note, that's Pete. I'm Chris. Make sure to follow me Off the Ball Pod. Make sure to follow everybody at the Off the Ball Network. So be well, be safe, take care. Peace out.